At the end of this month, it will be 200 weeks. 200 weeks, just think about that. Since this man started a protest in a place called Ballyhea, when an organisation called Ballyhea says no, who have been fighting against this debt for that length of time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage from Ballyhea says no, Diarmuid O'Flynn.
Can you hear me?
A little bit.
4 years waiting, it's a long time. Okay. A catch cry of Michael Noonan and this government is that they must balance the books. Well, Michael, we agree, because we too want to see the books balanced. We want to see this government stop legislating to protect the interests of the greedy at the expense of the needy. And just as you and your friends in Europe were able to introduce legislation that impoverishes this nation in this generation, that enslaves future generations to the EU and its debt collection heavies in the ECB, we want to now to reverse that legislation and set us free and allow us to prosper, Michael. Balance those books. The one, though, on which we in the Ballyhea group have been campaigning for nearly 200 weeks, and the issue on which we are joined by Charleville, Rathote and Dublin, and who now also hold their weekly march, and the issue that is probably the greatest travesty of all, the issue on which your books are most seriously imbalanced, is the bank bailout, the sellout. The sellout of the people of this country. As we know to our cost, Labour's way turned out to be Frankfurt's way, and still is. Instead of taking our fight to Europe, which they promised, they brought Europe's fight to us. And nowhere was this more evident than on Michael Noonan's absolutely shameful Promissory Note deal. At this moment, and as a direct legacy of that deal, there are sovereign bonds to the value of 28 billion euro. That's 28,000 million euro sitting below in the central bank awaiting sale. And as soon as they are sold, every cent of that 28,000 million euro is destroyed. But also, as soon as they are sold, we, all of us, start paying interest on those bonds. And starting in 2038 and finishing in 2053, we pay the principal on those bonds. The total cost will be about 80 billion euro. Just think about that now. This is a broke country, forced to borrow billions to burn, and for what? To pay for the bailout of the European big bank creditors of two bust Irish banks. That's why, after nearly 200 weeks, we are still marching in Ballyhea. That's why we have been waiting for this day. Normally, when a crowd like this comes up from the country to Dublin, or even when a crowd like this from Dublin gathers in Dublin, it's across the river above in Croke Park. And normally in those situations, you call for 3 cheers for the losers. But I'm not going to do that here today, because many of the losers can't be here. People like Jonathan Curry, who died in a doorway almost on the doorsteps of the Dáil for want of a roof over his head. People like the thousands across this country who have taken their own lives over the last several years, crushing years, not because they craved death, but because they couldn't take any more of what those inside those gates were imposing on them. people like the hundreds of thousands who have left this country, leaving behind them broken hearts, in broken families, in broken communities. And people like ourselves, all of us gathered here today, we have a message for the people inside there. After nearly 100 years, or nearly 100 years after the 1916 Rising, we are not going to swap one empire for another. We are not going to swap one kind of servitude for another. So, burn the bonds, not the billions. Do you hear me? I'm going to lift my hands. Burn the bonds, not the billions. Burn the bonds, not the billions. Burn the bonds, not the billions.
Marcus Howard, test 1, 2, 3.